Take 5. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again today and tuning in for the In Deep on the Delta weekly fishing report. This is the report for the week of May 13th, and we're going to get right into what I consider a really good report this week. I'm going to start off by giving you a suggestion on a video that I watched, and this is for you DIY guys or the do-it-yourself guys, especially for the kayak guys. The name of the video is called 7 New PVC Hacks, and the name of the site is Fishin' and Stuff. It's Fishin with an N and Stuff. I'll put that in the remarks so you'll know how to find that site. Really interesting guy, does some really innovative things with PVC, and I think if you guys watch that, you're going to get some ideas on some things that you can do to make some of the customized little things that you especially use on a kayak or even a fully rigged bass boat. But check that out, 7 New PVC Hacks. Let's get right into the report. I'm going to start off with Jeff Soo Hoo from Soo Hoo Sportfishing, his report. I'll just flat out tell you, it's fantastic. The stripers are just on the bite. Jeff didn't want me to tell you how good he was doing because he's doing so good that it's almost, the 1960s numbers. Big numbers of fish. The size isn't 1960s size. Lots of schoolies, but a good class of fish in the 7 to 10 pound range mixed in with the schoolies. Jeff is finding his fish in about 20 feet of water. A lot of them are deeper, and he is vertically fishing for them. There's just a lot of fish in the Delta. Remember, a couple weeks ago we talked about the party boats out in the bay just wrecking them. Well, those big schools of fish have moved into the Delta, and they are providing hot action for Delta stripers. Jeff has been fishing the main channel. He hasn't gone far. He didn't tell me exactly where he was fishing, but I know he's out of Antioch, and he's fishing the San Joaquin River in the main channel. Some of you guys that have been out there, you know his boat, you've probably seen him, and he's saying double and triple hookups multiple times through the day, and 30, 40, 50 fish days and even more are possible. Now Jeff knows what he's doing. He's probably catching a few more fish than the average guy out there. He knows where to look, he knows how to find them, and he knows how to fish. Now also, I'm getting reports from the shops, Outdoor Sportsman and Hook, Line, and Sinker. All of their customers are reporting that they're catching fish. Now, they're not having those huge days. The guys that are trolling, they're working for them, but they're getting limits of fish, and they're having a good time. The guys that are bait fishing, it's even a little slower, but they're also catching fish. The way to go is spooning them, finding the fish, getting down and vertically fishing for them. Also got some reports from the shops that the bass guys or largemouth bass guys are hooking up with quite a few stripers, and the guys that are out there plugging for stripers, the striper guys that are looking for the bigger fish, they're also catching fish. So everyone's catching fish, but the way to go is to find the schools and spoon for them. Now Jeff, I know is very busy. I think he's on the water almost every day, but he did say he has a few more spots open. So if you're looking to learn how to vertically jig these fish or need information on how to locate them, maybe you're not doing so well out here, I would strongly suggest maybe giving Jeff a call. I'll put his information in the remarks also. Go out with a good qualified guide. Hopefully it's Jeff or anyone that you know that may be out there that really knows how to spoon, and learn that technique, and you can get into some absolutely fun fishing. So with that, we'll move into the largemouth bass situation, and I'm going to go over some water conditions, and this is really important. The water conditions are important, and the weather conditions, and just the time of year, because it's a very transitional time of year for the largemouth bass here on the Delta. It is all over the board. The fishing has been from very slow to actually pretty good, but we'll go into that, and we'll start off with the clarity. Well, let's start off with the weather. All you guys know it's been windy, and I don't want that to scare you off of the Delta. If it's if they're predicting 20, 25, 30 mile-an-hour winds, obviously that's not going to be fun, and it's not a fun thing to do if you're out here fishing for a weekend family trip. But it's been steadily blowing from, I'll say, 13 to 17 miles an hour almost daily. Today it's pretty nice, and it's in the morning. The mornings have been nice. The wind has been picking up in the afternoon, and it has been breezy. But this is the Delta, guys, and it is the springtime. It's going to be windy for a while, so you're going to have to put up with that. I just want to say, be safe, use your head, watch the weather conditions. You're not going to be fishing the channel in a 10-foot pram. Know your boating skills, and don't let the weather scare you off the river. It's affecting the fishermen more than it is the fish. The fish are on the bite. With that being said, water temperatures are cruising up closer to that 70-degree mark. It's hit 70 degrees, I think, Monday. It's Wednesday today, and I think it was like 66 when I got out here this morning. It's probably going to break 70 degrees today. By the weekend, if we keep getting this 90-degree weather, we may be up to 71, 72. So water temperature is prime. The clarity has dropped a little bit because of the breeze. It's generally about, I'll say, 3 to 4, maybe 5 feet. Visibility is just perfect. You know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, everybody was complaining that the water was too clear. It's perfect visibility right now. So water conditions are perfect. Now, I'm seeing sporadic fry all over the central delta, but there's not a lot of them. They didn't have a great spawn so far, and everybody that I've talked to were worried about, you know, if this next moon phase, the next maybe 2 moon phases, if we don't get some more spawning taken care of, it's not going to be a good year for the largemouth bass spawn. And everybody's thinking, hey, the water's 70 degrees, we got a moon phase coming in here. Hopefully we're going to see a big flight of females come in the next few weeks and get some really productive spawn going on. But that's a hope right now. So perfect water conditions. Not a whole lot of traffic on the delta. I'm seeing a few more guys out here today. It's Wednesday. I know there's a couple of tournaments this week, and guys are starting to pre-fish for them. It's going to be really interesting to see what goes on the tournaments this week, and we'll keep an eye on that. So really light traffic, probably 50-50 largemouth bass, striper guys. Not a lot of guys out here on your spot, so you can come out here and find your spots and fish them. This is the deal. If you're in that 3 to 6 feet of water and you're moving around looking at all the old beds and seeing cruising fish, that's great. Make a note of that, but those are not the fish you want to be fishing for. The fish that are in there moving around aren't really locked onto beds. They're not really, they're just looky-loos. Don't waste a lot of time fishing for those cruising fish, but make a note of it, because those fish are going to be the fish that you're going to catch maybe tomorrow or in a week. The fish that have been biting are the fish that are up in the submerged vegetation in 1 to 3 feet of water, and the fish that are out on the other side of the weeds. So either in 1 to 3 feet or maybe 6 to 8 feet of water on the outside of the weeds. Now, with that being said, if you have vegetation that's going out over 5 or 6 feet of water, those fish will be in 5 or 6 feet of water. You just don't want to fish for those fish that are in that, 3 to 6 foot area with nothing on top of them, that are just cruising through there. Now, that's important to remember, because one of the prime techniques for this week, we're going to drop worms out of the top spot, and we're going to go with punching and top water. Punching is really coming on. Most of the guys, you're just looking for live green growing vegetation, whether it's pennywort or hyacinth or primrose, whatever you're fishing. Just make sure it's clean and the fish are in tight. There's a lot of bigger fish that are in there, mostly in the 1 to 3 feet of water. If you find it out in deeper water, you definitely want to punch the deeper water, but punching is really coming on. So that's going to take over the #1 spot, along with top waters. And the top waters, there's 2 top water bites going on. The frog bite is happening. It's not great, but people are catching fish on frogs, and they're throwing the frogs obviously in frog water, the slop. So That's in shallow water. I've been fishing walking baits, especially the river to sea bubble walker. You guys know I like fishing that a lot, and I probably catch more fish on that because I have confidence in it and I fish it a lot more. But when you get out over the submerged vegetation in that 6 or 8 feet of water, maybe on the flats or just off of where the hydrilla is, you know, the lanes in the hydrilla, use a slower moving bait, a walking bait, whether it's a bubble walker or a spook, or I've been throwing a shower blow. I've been doing better on the smaller baits, the 3-inch baits, the Ricos, the kind of poppers, the very subtle stuff. I'm not throwing whopper ploppers, I'm not throwing buzz baits. It's slower moving, erratic type of action, just pulling the fish up. And most of the people that I've talked to that have been catching fish on the topwater baits, they have been catching fish in the same manner that I have, and we've all agreed that when the fish come up and take it, they're just not coming up and smashing it. The bigger fish are just coming up and swirling underneath it, grabbing it, and you're hooking up with them and you're catching a nice fish. Most of these fish aren't the giants, but they're quality fish in the 3 to 4 pound range. They're not fighting like they're fully recovered. So they're coming up, taking it slow. They're not really chasing baits, taking it nice and slow, grabbing it, you're hooking them up, and you're getting a fun play out of them, but they're not really bulldogging. Now, in a week or so, when those fish get fully recovered, I think this topwater bite, especially now that the temperature is about 70 degrees, is really going to break wide open. So the 2 number 1 baits are punching and topwater baits, whether it's a frog or a walking bait. Coming in 3 this weekend is worms and jigs. You can still do damage with worms and jigs. You're catching a lot of smaller fish on the smaller worms. The jigs are catching bigger fish, and when I talk about jigs, it can be a standard style, Arky style jig, or a Tokyo rig or something of that nature, where it's just on the bottom, moving it slow with creature baits and things like that. So that's still working. What's kind of fallen out of play this week is the chatterbait. I have not gotten much on a chatterbait at all. I was out early in the week. I was throwing a worm and a chatterbait and getting a few fish. My partner was throwing a small square bill crankbait, and that was in a shad color, and he was picking up fish, but they were all small fish. So the reaction bite hasn't been good for me or the people on my boat. We'll see what happens in the next few days. Again, it's day to day. But just remember, punching and topwater, that's where you're going to get your big fish. Worms and jigs. Let's take care of that. Worms and jigs, you'll also get some nice fish, but the reaction bite is just not there. So with that, hopefully you can... Oh, and I want to say another thing. One of the guys I talked to from Outdoor Sportsman, Zach, congratulations, Zach. He took first place in the Wednesday night tournament. He had 23 pounds, but one of the things that Zach told me was there's a 15-minute bite window for him and his partner, and that's what put them in the winner's circle. Other than that, they would have been, you know, just another couple guys out looking for fish. And that has been the story out here from everyone I've heard. So if you're out here on the weekend, or you're fishing a tournament this weekend and you fish for 2 or 3 hours without a bite, you can't let that bother you, because a 15 or 20 minute period during the day can turn your entire day around. It can put you in the winner's circle if you're fishing a tournament, or it can just give you put a big smile on your face if you're out here fishing for fun. So don't be afraid of going a couple hours without a bite. Try to keep your confidence up and fish through the day. There is not one particular tide that is any better than the other. Obviously, slack tides are not producing a lot, but that bite window can happen incoming, outgoing, at any period of the tide. There's no certain tide that you want to be at. High outgoing tide, the first hour outgoing tide, first hour incoming. You got to fish through that tide and just wait for that bite window and hope that you are on the fish. So with that, I hope that gives you guys some information. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, tell a friend, and make sure you send me a report if you're out here, because that's how I'm formulating my stuff. Thank you guys that have been sending me the reports. Keep them coming. So until next week, I hope you can use that to catch some fish out here. Let me know how you do, and tune in next week. We'll see you on the water. Thank you for watching.